Esther Perel stands barefoot at the edge of an ancient forest at twilight. The trees before her are twisted with history, glowing slightly as if they remember. Behind her lies a chaotic, burning city fading in the distance. She is cloaked in a deep emerald robe, holding a single lit candle. The forest breathes like a living consciousness. Entering it is not escape but arrival. The path is made of cracked mirrors, reflecting fragmented identities. This is the moment of choosing inner change. In a lush Renaissance garden with geometric symmetry, Esther gently plants golden seeds into soil that glows faintly with memory. The trees bear fruits shaped like human hearts. A sky of deep lavender stretches above, filled with flying books and ancient scrolls. She wears a floral crown woven with name, symbolizing inherited stories. Her hands are stained with soil and light. Change begins here, not with escape, but with planting. Esther stands between two mirrors, one cracked and fogged, the other polished and glowing. Each reflects a different world behind her, one filled with conflict, the other a serene, sunlit village. Birds fly between the mirrors freely, carrying fragments of light. Her eyes are fixed not on either mirror but on her own hands. She holds both versions of truth, what was and what can be. Set in a medieval court, Esther wears a heavy cloak made of stitched human faces, each one whispering old judgments. Around her, people wear masks mirroring her inner voice. One by one, she removes the masks and places them in a fountain, where they dissolve into water. Light pierces the stained glass ceiling, casting colored truth on her body. Esther lies across a wooden altar covered in old maps and constellations. Her body is inked with delicate lines that resemble rivers and fault lines. Small, golden stitches mend where cracks used to be. Around her float ghostly hands pointing in different directions. She closes her eyes and places a hand over her heart, the only compass that responds. In a candlelit medieval dining hall, Esther sits at a long wooden table surrounded by translucent versions of herself, each one representing a past reaction: anger, avoidance, silence, control. Instead of food, the table holds scrolls with unread stories. She begins reading aloud to them, one by one, as their transparency fades. They become guests, not enemies. Esther stands at the center of a sacred stone circle in the forest. The stones are engraved with affirmations, glowing as she reads them. A soft wind swirls around her, forming a halo of leaves and ash. She raises her hand in silence, not to command, but to claim presence. Animals watch quietly from the tree line. The scene is wholly reverent. Inside a vast Renaissance library, Esther pulls glowing books from hollow spaces inside tree trunks. Each book whispers past versions of her internal voice. One speaks with cruelty, another with care. She listens to all of them with equal attention. The air is filled with flying pages, forming wings behind her back. Esther stands before a golden tree whose roots are shackled to gravestones labeled with generational beliefs. She gently removes one shackle, and the tree breathes for the first time. Its branches bloom into stars. An eclipse hangs in the sky, marking a sacred turning point. This is the moment of disrupting inherited patterns. In a medieval chapel with broken stained glass, Esther lights candles atop pedestals shaped like human emotions. Each flame flickers a different color. She kneels, not in submission, but in invitation. A large abstract painting behind her shows her silhouette, filled with soft light and scribbled affirmations in every language. Esther walks along a tightrope, suspended between two mountain peaks. Beneath her, a storm brews in abstract expressionist chaos. She stops in the middle, closes her eyes, and exhales. The rope glows gold. She doesn't fall, she floats. The shift begins not with motion, but with a pause. Inside a grand cathedral of floating ink, Esther stands before a scroll with the story of her life written in rigid, painful lines. She picks up a quill that bleeds light and writes a single word, enough. The text begins to soften, curl, and bloom into botanical shapes. The narrative bends gently into beauty. Esther sits cross-legged in the center of a ring of mirrors, each showing a moment she's judged herself. Around her, birds perch gently, whispering affirmations. She places her palm over her reflection and forgives. The mirror no longer reflects, it glows. Esther wanders barefoot in an open-air cloister, where wind carries the voices of her younger self. The voices do not accuse, they ask questions. She listens with tears on her cheeks and hands folded in grace. The garden around her blooms with every step she takes. In a crumbling courtroom where her inner critics once judged, Esther now stands alone. The pews are empty, the gavel is cracked. She wears a soft smile. Sunlight pours through the roof, dust particles forming affirmations mid-air. Justice is no longer punishment, it is understanding. From a bed of ash at the base of a massive, ancient oak, Esther rises clothed in feathers of fire. Her eyes hold both grief and grace. Around her are fragments of her past selves, some weeping, others cheering. She walks barefoot across glowing embers that form a path into the forest of the unknown. The sky is ablaze with gold and crimson, symbolizing courage over collapse. Set in a quiet sanctuary, Esther kneels over a pool that reflects not her face, but her nervous system glowing like roots. Vines wrap gently around her arms, not restraining but communicating. Her spine curves into a natural arc, and butterflies land softly on her shoulders. The body is not just a vessel here. It is a sacred scripture being reread. On a narrow bridge surrounded by water painted in abstract expressionist waves, Esther stands between two statues, one of fear and one of freedom. She places her hand on both simultaneously. Above her, a full moon casts a perfect reflection of herself in the water. The silence around her is not emptiness, it is potential. Esther wanders through a dense, glowing forest. Each tree bears a carving of a version of herself she abandoned to fit in, the wild one, the angry one, the dreaming child. She touches each carving, and light spills from the wood like sap. She is not haunted, she is gathering her pieces. On a cliff edge surrounded by time-worn stone statues, Esther places a small glass orb into a vessel made of her own hair, symbols, and old affirmations. She offers it to the sky. A thunderbird made of clouds swoops down and carries it into the horizon. She watches, grounded in humility. Growth is not just healing, it is inheritance. A Renaissance courtyard is overcome with a wild, colorful storm. Pages torn from books swirl violently in the air. Esther stands in the center, eyes closed, palms open. Her gown is embroidered with stories that were never hers. The wind tears them away. Around her neck hangs a small locket. Inside, her true voice waits. A medieval rope bridge connects two mountain temples. Esther walks with measured steps. Her cloak is made of nose, and her staff is etched with clear lines of sacred rules. Beneath the bridge flow rivers of unmet expectations. She does not hurry. Boundaries here are a spiritual act of self-respect. In a stone alchemist's tower, Esther places a blackened lump labeled shame into a glowing crucible. Golden flames rise, transforming it into a small, radiant gem. Books open by themselves on the surrounding walls. The room pulses with ancient warmth. This is the art of transmuting pain into power. Esther stands on a cathedral stage, surrounded by ghost-like figures of her ancestors, teachers, and inner guides. Each one holds a scroll glowing with a different affirmation. They sing, not with voices but with light and breath. The sound forms geometric shapes above her head. Affirmation here is a collective memory awakened. She sits cross-legged in the center of a dark cave filled with bioluminescent moss. The world is quiet. Her heartbeat echoes like a drum. A small flame burns steadily in front of her. This is the sacred pause before action. Her presence is the ritual. Esther removes a porcelain mask shaped like perfection and drops it into a basin of liquid silver. Her true fae, styled soft, radiant, emerges. Behind her, faceless crowds stand in silent awe. She looks at no one but feels seen for the first time. The mask does not shatter, it dissolves. A gently flowing river winds through a Renaissance-style valley. Esther, dressed in maternal robes, holds a younger self in her arms. They wade together through water that glows with affirmations. Leaves fall slowly from above, each one inscribed with an unmet need now being answered. Time folds softly around them. In a secret garden blooming with impossible plants, some metallic, some translucent, Tester plants a final seed. Around her, various versions of herself now coexist peacefully: the child, the seeker, the protector, the poet. Butterflies and serpents intertwine gently in the sky. Integration is not simplification, it's the flowering of contradiction. Atop a high tower, Esther lifts a glowing lantern carved with sacred symbols. The world below is shadowed and complex, but the light reaches corners unseen. She does not cast light onto others, she simply radiates. Birds fly toward her, drawn not by noise but clarity. She has become her own guide. Esther returns to the same forest edge from scene one. But now the forest is golden. The city behind her is silent and at peace. Children run freely. The river sparkles. Her posture is different, grounded, alive. She looks into the sky where her own constellation forms in stars. Her inner shift has subtly rewritten the outer world.